Amanda here from createyourfuture.co. So guys, today I'm going to answer one of your questions on that you guys left on YouTube for me. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah, just before I dive in, guys, we are giving away a free course, how to find your blocks to manifest anything fast. It'll help you to fine tune your mental diet because you guys, we know our thoughts are everything. Our thoughts create our world around us. So check it out, link in the description below. As well as, guys, I have a course, how to create the relationship you love. It's amazing. It's the technique and what I've done to recreate relationships in my life. And yeah, I've changed so many of my relationships and using the techniques that I share in that course. And yeah, so definitely check it out, link in the description. And it kind of actually ties in with this question. So we'll be reviewing some of that stuff today on this video. So yeah, let's dive into it. So the question is, it's by, well, its username is, well, you can see it in the comments, I'm sure. I'll just read it. Hopefully not a question, hope not silly. Of course, there's never a silly question. If a person is breadcrumbing or putting a little effort in, manifesting back is one thing, but do you need to change your behavior when they actually come back? Example, set boundaries. So yes, we are going to be talking about setting boundaries. So the first thing, right, to understand is we need to set our boundaries mentally within ourselves, okay? Because if I say to Jerry, look at Jerry, you know what? You're just not giving me enough attention. I intend you give me more attention. Then basically that's coming from our story that Jerry doesn't give us enough attention, okay? So let's say, for instance, Jerry never brings me flowers. And I'm like, well, that's it. You know what? I'm setting a boundary. He needs to, send me flowers more often. And then I actually say to him, Jerry, you need to send me flowers. Me confronting Jerry about it is basically what I'm doing is I'm coming from lack. I'm coming from Jerry doesn't do this. So I need to verbally talk to him to get him to do it. Okay. So that will push people away because your assumption about them is that they don't do it. Okay, so that's the same thing with setting boundaries, right? So setting your boundaries is internally within you, okay? And how you do that is by changing your assumption of the person. So first of all, ask yourself, okay, like what do I want out of a relationship? What do I want my relationship to look like? Okay, well, I want them to chase me. I want them to pursue me. I want them to call me. I want them to make me a priority, and what does that look like? Well, I want them to come over Friday night. I want them to make dinner with me. I want them to watch movies with me. I want to go out on dates, okay, every Friday, every Saturday. So really get detailed on what you want your relationship to be, how you want to be treated, and what that actually looks like in the 3D. What activities are you going to be doing? When are they going to be spending time with you? What does that time look when you're spending with them? For instance, for me in a relationship, when I first started dating Andrew, I wanted someone that came over every day, had dinner with me, and watched movies with me, watched TV with me, and spent the evening with me after I was at work all day. And so that's what I intended, that he would come over after work, have dinner with me, and then hang out and watch movies and go home around 10:30, right? And he would do that consistently every night. And then I also intended that Fridays and Saturdays he would take me out, and he did, right? So you create what you want the relationship to look like for you. And then the next step is, okay, changing your story about your specific person, about Jerry, okay? So if you say, for instance, that you want to be a priority, meaning that they choose you over their friends on a Friday night, you have to start changing your assumption about Jerry and saying, Jerry always chooses me, always, makes me a priority over his friends, and we always go out on Friday nights, okay? Jerry makes me a priority over his video games, whatever it looks like to you. So once you've established, right, what you want to see in your reality, then you've got to start assuming that the person, okay, that you want to have this from is actually going to be the person to do it. So where do you set up boundaries? You set up boundaries within yourself and within your assumption of the other person. So for instance, like real life in my relationship, okay, with Andrew, I have a boundary, like no cheating, period. That's my boundary. Now, have I ever had to verbally tell him that? Absolutely not, because my story about Andrew is that he's loyal and faithful and will never cheat on me. Okay, so my boundary is cheating, boom, will not accept it. Like, that's a no-go for me. And have I ever had to sit down and say that to Andrew? Absolutely not, because my story about him is that he's loyal, faithful, and, you know, and that he would, you know, never ever cheat on me. And the funny thing is because when I was actually creating that boundary within myself, because he's me pushed out, we were sitting around one day. I've said nothing about it. I've only been energetically creating it when we first started dating. And all of a sudden, one night we're sitting around, we're having dinner and a glass of wine. And he says, you know, I hope you know, I would never ever cheat on you. I'm a very loyal guy. I'm always a one-woman man. And I was like, oh, I'm like, that's nice. I'm like, good to hear, because we were just dating and he was just basically telling me about himself. And he was reflecting back during that time everything that I was setting an internal boundary for myself and making the assumptions about him. Okay. So we, you know, I mean, you can go up and say, you know, okay, I'm going to tell Jerry that this is my boundary, that he needs to make me a priority over video games, and verbally do it, and then intend that you verbally doing it is going to work. But you always run the risk of, you know, having dominant thoughts that it's going to backfire and push him away, like an ultimatum. Do you get what I'm saying? So if you are going to give verbal ultimatums, you have to have the story that it works. But why take that chance? Why set yourself up for that potential, you know, rejection or failure, when basically you just have to do it internally? You have to, whether you do it verbally with an ultimatum, you have to internally decide that he is going to be the person you want him to be. He's going to show up the way you want him to show up. You have to have the assumptions about his character that match what you set up in your mind as to what you want. Okay. Because remember, everyone is you pushed out. When you're having a conversation up here, everybody can hear it. I know. I first found that out. I was like, darn. I was like, man, my thoughts aren't even private. No, they are not. But the beautiful thing about it is they think it's their idea. Okay. They don't know it was your thought. They think it's their idea, right? So, you know, everyone is you pushed out isn't like a separate concept. It is the mechanism of how law of assumption works. Okay. Everyone and everything is you pushed out, down to the deer that walk by your front door, your microwave, your car, your specific people, your mother, your brother, all of them, everything, even TV. I remember I wanted to watch the whole Harry Potter series, and I saw it like on, like, I had to pay for it. And I was like, no, I intend it'll come on free. They'll air it on TV for free. Sure enough, a month later, Andrew's flicking through and he was like, oh, look at, they're airing Harry Potter for free. I'm like, well, look at that. Right. So everything that you want in your life, you just need to be clear on it, what you want. Once you get clear on it, and then you basically start assuming that everyone and everything around you is going to show up that way, they do show up that way. So there's never a need to have a verbal conversation with anybody about boundaries or about ultimatums, because you're the only one that has to believe in your assumption of how the other person is going to show up. Because you can tell them till you're blue in the face, I want you to bring me flowers, I want you to bring me flowers. But if you don't change your assumption that they are going to start bringing you flowers, they're just not going to do it, no matter how many times you verbally say it, right? So yeah, guys, I intend that this video absolutely helps you. Thank you guys so much for being here and your great success stories that you send in. We are so happy that our coaching and our courses are changing your lives. I mean, I know that I've changed my life with this information, and I share my truth. Take with it, you know, what I teach, what works for you and what you believe, and, you know, feel free to leave anything that doesn't resonate with you. You know, we're only out here every day trying to share what we know and trying to help you to change your life the way that we've changed our own. So yeah, I love you all. And remember, you can be, do, and have anything you want. And yeah, everything that you desire is coming to you right now today, because you are good enough. Okay. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.